And staying with neighbour troubles, let's focus on India and the Maldives. It's been a rough couple of weeks. Indian social media wants to boycott the Maldives. Maldivian social media wants to cancel India. There's a lot of noise and outrage. But amid this, an important meeting has happened. India's Foreign Minister S Jaishankar has met the Maldivian Foreign Minister. His name is Moosa Zameer. Both leaders are in Uganda. They're attending the 19th NAM summit. NAM stands for Non-Aligned Movement. So Jaishankar and Zameer met on the sidelines. And what did they discuss? Well, that depends on who you ask. Jaishankar's statement does not mention very much. It just says bilateral issues were discussed frankly, which is short and vague. But the Maldivian minister said a lot more. Listen to this, and I'm quoting. We exchanged views on the ongoing high-level discussions on the withdrawal of Indian military personnel, as well as expediting the completion of ongoing development projects in the Maldives. Some context now. India has less than 100 soldiers in the Maldives. Their job is to fly and maintain aircraft. But the new president does not like it. That's Mohammad Muizzu. He campaigned on the plank of India out, meaning he wants Indian soldiers to leave the country. This month, he gave a deadline to New Delhi. March 15, that's the deadline. By then, he wants Indian troops to leave. Now, the date is political. The Maldives is holding parliamentary elections on the 17th of March. It's a crucial test for President Muizzu. Right now, his party does not have majority in parliament. He also lost a key mayoral seat in Malé. Hence the deadline. But where does that leave India? Listen to what the foreign ministry is saying.
Both sides held discussions on finding mutually workable solution to enable continued operation of Indian aviation platforms that provide humanitarian and medvac services to the people of Maldives. The next meeting is to be held in India to take discussion forward.
Again, vague. New Delhi hasn't mentioned the deadline yet. They say talks are underway. But the question is, what options does India have? On paper, very few. The Maldives is a sovereign country. Its president is asking you to pull out your soldiers. You can't just ignore that, because soon more people will start talking about it. Other countries will chime in. The likes of China could internationalize it. And that's not a good look. So what can India do? The first priority is to keep the talks low-key, to not draw attention to it. That much is clear from official Indian statements. None of them mentions the issue of soldiers. But New Delhi will have to convince the Maldives to do the same, to handle things privately. Whether they agree or not is a different question altogether. Malé has already revealed the deadline, so chances are they're running out of patience. Which brings us to the next option. India can persuade Malé to keep the soldiers. Can they do it? Well, there is leverage. India makes up a big chunk of Maldivian tourism and investments. In fact, Indian grants make up 1.5% of their GDP. New Delhi is building airports and developing islands in the country. Can or will India leverage that? New Delhi says it is committed to those projects.
On our part, we remain committed to our projects to take them forward. We have been an important development partner of Maldives. We remain committed to doing all things that we can do as a development partner of Maldives in keeping with their priorities.
Frankly, it's a long stretch. Muizzu came to power by tapping into anti-India sentiments. His biggest promise was India out, so he cannot just abandon it. If he does, it would be political suicide, not to mention really embarrassing. Which brings us to the worst case scenario, an actual withdrawal of Indian soldiers. We cannot rule it out. In the end, it will have to be a strategic call, and I'll tell you why. India's influence in the Maldives is not because of military presence. It's the other way around. The soldiers are the result of India's influence. Just think about it. You cannot station troops on enemy soil. You can only send them to allies, which means the reverse is also true. Simply having soldiers in Malé will not give India influence. In fact, it can be counterproductive. That doesn't mean India should just pack up and leave. It means India should think long term. What will preserve or salvage ties in the long run? Staying or leaving? I know it's easier said than done. We are heading into election season in both countries. There will be focus on foreign policy. But let's hope common sense prevails, especially in the Maldives, because the soldiers may be a political point for Moosa, but their presence represents a lot more. It stands for decades of assistance, cooperation and friendship. Maybe Moosa will manage to get the soldiers out, but at what cost is the question.